Hello and welcome to the Leverage Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Richard, and we have Darold Donathan with us today from the Branson Police Force. And it's really good to have you with us, Darold. I got introduced to you recently in one of our networking meetings and didn't really know a whole lot about the academy. And so I'm a Citizens Academy, so I'm super excited to learn about that. Let's start off with a little bit about your background. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
You bet, Paul. Appreciate the invite and glad to work with you today. So I've been with the Branson Police Department for 27 years, and so overall that time, I've had different tasks, different assignments, as you can imagine. But right now, probably my most enjoyable is I'm the community resource officer for the department. So anything community related, which typically is not always, but typically is a positive contact. Sometimes we have some local community that are unhappy about something, and but usually it's something that we can work with. But yeah, so anything community related, which different things, it looks different, day to day. And then there are some routine projects and programs that we do throughout the year.
Very good. So when you were presenting to us in our networking group, you talked about the Citizens Academy. And so I'd love to hear more about, what it is, how it works. And we'd like to invite people to be a part of this that are in our local area here. Give us a little bit of outline. What happens during the sessions, and how many are there, and how often do you run this?
Sure. So this will be our 10th year for having a Citizens Police Academy here in Branson Police Department. And this program, it's not a Branson thing. Police departments all over the nation do this. It's been around for a while. We just were fortunate enough uh, to be able to bring it to our community. And basically, it's just a time where our community can come hang out with us and get to know us. There's so many, regardless of where you live in the country, no matter the state, if you don't have an officer close to you, most people just know their local law enforcement as men and women that they see on occasion driving their streets. And hopefully that is the only case, that there's never a need. Obviously we're here if the need arises, but we hope that nobody has to call us because they've become a victim. But so it's an opportunity for the general public to get to know us. And so what we do is we invite our participants, out to visit us and see us. And what I do is I bring a different piece of the department each night. I'm able to bring, of course, we start off with our chief and our command staff. They like to get to know the folks, ask them a little bit about themselves, what their interests, what brought them to us. And then after that, I go into a piece of the department every night, from our K-9 team, investigations, drone unit, you name it. And I can't. It's hard to do. It's just a glimpse. It's a 12-week program where we meet on Thursday nights, is the day of week that we chose, and it's in the evening. Hopefully, we can get folks after they're off work, if they're still employed and haven't retired. But yeah, so it's a good time. And I've never had anybody, Paul, that has said, I got nothing out of it. I get this is not what I thought. It was very eye-opening. One specific participant, his story that really just came to mind was, as especially during the first or second night after I visit with the group for a little bit, and our police chief or another member of our command staff kind of takes over for the rest of the night. I like to sit back and watch our folks, those that are participating. And a few years back, a certain gentleman, I was just watching his body language. And before we wrapped up that night, and I believe that was our first night of the academy, he said, "I came here because I don't have a high, I'm not sure I really like police officers, more or less, is what
Okay.
he'd had some bad interactions earlier in his growing up, teenage years, early adult, young adult age, and he had some bad contacts and some bad experiences. Um, he didn't live here. I can't remember where he grew up, where he moved from. And so that was very interesting. That was the very first one. I've got somebody that's coming in and he's like, "I expect you to change my mind." And so, kind of, um, I listened to what he said that evening, and it was short. He didn't go on about, "I don't like officers, and here's what I expect." It was a short him sharing that with us, which I'm glad he did. And then I kind of forgot about it. I just went on with what I would normally do throughout any academy. But by the end, somewhere toward the end, and it might even been the last night, he said, he shared with all of us how we have showed him that his experience earlier in life painted a picture of law enforcement, and that's not how it is everywhere. And so it's a great program that we're really, really glad to be able to offer to our community.
That's awesome. I love that. And you're right. And even in other industries, not necessarily in the police force, but other industries, you have a bad experience with an individual or maybe more than one individual, and then that kind of taints the whole industry or the whole business or whatever, those kinds of things. We deal with that in the realtor world because especially since we have so many new realtors coming in, every year, 33% rollover. So you've got brand new realtors coming in, maybe with inexperience, et cetera. And so they may or may not give the best impression of the industry. So I understand that from our perspective. That's a good insight. And I think a lot of it has to do with reaction slash, interaction. If you just treat an officer as you would any other person, honoring them in that world, you're going to get a different reaction than if you're if you're set off by something, right? And so that's a big deal with that. I was pleasurable enough to go through a traffic stop in Oklahoma a couple of weeks ago, and he pulled me. My license plate light bulb had gone out, okay, in the
Oh,
back.
okay.
And so he stopped me and and I'm like, when the lights came on, I was like, oh boy, what's going on? Because I knew I didn't speed, right? So, and then I just said, hi, officer, what's going
How
on?
often do you turn your headlights on and go around and look to see if your license plates are lit up?
License plates on.
Yeah.
That's right. And not very often, right?
Yeah.
So, so those things, and he was wonderfully cordial, and that kind of thing, and of course gave me a warning, etc. But and I was like, okay, well, I'll get that replaced, of course. So, but anyway, so those are so important there. So as far as the academy, so maybe just walk us through. I know you gave a couple of examples. So when you have the canine unit in, what kind of things do people see about that particular unit? What do you show them in that area?
Well, obviously that's one of the popular ones. Everybody wants to see the
Yeah.
dogs, get to meet them. I think that I'd mentioned I've been with the department for a few years, and earlier in my career, that was a hat that I wore. I was a canine officer for a number of years, back when I was working patrol. And so, again, if you really, this day and age, we people can watch things on TV and see how those dogs work. But just, one of the things I think people that are none the wiser really are amazed is how those dogs learn, and how how quickly it is for them to learn. It's more like they're waiting on the handler, the officer, because together they have to be a team and work together. And so it's not just the dog learning, but it's the handler as well. and not only just learning the job, but it's constantly continue. Our canine teams, every week they've got a day, at least one day set aside a week where they're a full training day. So it's like it's a constant. It's not a one-time certification for the dog and the handler, and then you're done. It's a constant learning, and then of course we wrap it up with bringing in, doing some demonstrations, showing the folks just what the dog likes to do.
Very good. Very good. You mentioned the drone area. What goes on in the drone demonstration? And I'm sure this is an evolving area in police work. What is Branson doing at this point with the drones in their world?
And so, as you can imagine, they're just as the dogs are, our drones are such a handy tool to have for a wide array of situations, from lost children, lost elderly, um, any kind of a night operation where we don't have to compromise officers on the ground with flashlights. We can send up the drones with infrared night vision, and they can walk our officers right in where they need to be, and our the officers can be just walking in darkness. So if they're trying to get to a target, they can do so and nobody sees them coming. We use and we've got different drones for different tasks. Smaller ones, bigger ones. Smaller drones are very useful. We send those in if we need to. Our SWAT team has an operation. They need to get into a house. We'll break a window, open a door, send that smaller drone in. Now we've got eyes inside that can go, under a table, around a corner. There are eyes in there before we send a human. Yeah.
That's really neat. Wow. Yeah,
And
that's
as well,
that's
we also use them, Paul, for our special events. If anybody comes to Branson, we've got special events throughout the year, 4th of July, Adoration Parade. We've got officers working those drones up, just monitoring our crowd, just being observant.
that's really fascinating. Do they use them for speed control as well on the
We do
highways at
not.
all?
We do not.
Okay.
Highway Patrol has a device that has those and monitors um, uh, traffic in the area, but not anything that we have.
Sure. Very good. Very good. You mentioned SWAT. What goes on in the evening when you cover SWAT? I'm
Well,
excited to hear about that.
that obviously is one of our fun ones.
Yeah.
People really enjoy that, and so that one a lot is talking about again the training. Our SWAT team, again, at least once a month, at least they have a designated training day. We've got a couple members of our SWAT team will come present that night, and they'll share with the class training, of course, and they'll share with them why and in what circumstances they would be called out. What circumstances would we need a SWAT team? What do we need to have to even implement them? We can't just use them for anything. Our policy with the Branson Police Department is, certain things have to be met before we bother those folks. All of our SWAT team officers, we don't have a full-time SWAT team. Our SWAT team officers are patrol officers and investigators with the department, and they volunteer for our SWAT team. But just because they volunteer doesn't mean they get a direct, here you go, thank you, you're part of the team. They have a pretty rigorous exam and physical fitness, as well as at the range that they have to pass with flying colors, all that, before they can even be a member of the team. And they'll bring out, of course, similar to what we can bring out our dog on canine evening. Our SWAT team will bring out their equipment. for all the guns that they use, all the firearms they use, equipment to get indoors. And then they will, some flashbangs, which is kind of people may have seen those on TV. Basically, it's a bright, something that's a distraction. So something, if we were going to go into a house, we might choose to, if the conditions were right, we might choose to use a flashbang just as a distraction. People see that, it throws them off for a minute. We will, one of our officers, our SWAT team guys or girls, they might throw off one of those for the participants to see. We've got one of the tools that they have is it's a pepper spray, an OC, less lethal type of a air gun. So imagine a paintball, if you will, but it has, instead of little paintballs, it's filled with pepper spray.
Ah,
And so again, depending on the situation, and if our manpower allows it, we may have somebody that has one of those, just in case we need to use something like that, more of a less lethal to to take care of the situation. Yeah, it's just kind of share with them what we have resource wise. Yeah.
very good. That's awesome. Does the Branson department have any, obviously drones are aerial in general in nature. Is there any other aerial, type things, helicopters or anything like that that's used by the department, or is that outside the scope?
It is nothing we would have. That would be pretty costly.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be, and then of course, then you're talking about a pilot. But one of the things that's great about this area of the woods, Southwest Missouri, our networking group is crazy. If it was something, if we needed it, I have no doubt between other agencies, Highway Patrol, we could get that resource, especially if it was something where, hey, we're going to have this type of on operation, this type of tool, I think will be handy, and here's why, and we'll be able to justify that. I think Highway Patrol or National Guard, they would be on board to help if at all possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So a lot of calls, obviously there's fire and police involved in that. Do you cover a little bit about that interaction at all, and when they bring in the fire truck versus they don't, or they just, you guys come in? Do you cover that situation at all?
Usually that is something that it almost is always discussed, and usually it comes from the folks asking questions. And a lot of times it will be covered as well. If not through that, it'll be covered again when we're talking about our traffic enforcement, because we'll cover our accidents and our how fire department crew helps us in those routes, on those calls.
Sure, sure. And then do you cover anything about 911 and dispatch?
I do, yes. So one night I'll have our dispatch supervisor come on board, and he kind of shares with them about kind of what they do, what their world looks like, and it's so much different than our patrol side, our operations. Those men and women, I maybe if I had to, but I don't know that I could do that job. It's just some people say that about our police work. Our dispatchers, they they've got our Branson Police Department, our dispatchers, they dispatch for police and fire. If somebody calls 911, something comes into them, if they realize that okay, well, it's just a medical, they will get a hold of the Taney County local ambulance and get a hold of them, as well as sending Branson Police, Branson Fire if need be. So they could have that going on, their phones ringing at the same time, maybe numerous phone lines ringing at the same time, as well as officers maybe even fire personnel trying to talk on the radio. And just when it comes to multitasking and keeping everybody and not just keeping everybody in line, but knowing where we all are. And so, yeah, that's a special group, special crew that handle our communications. And so, they'll share during our Citizens Academy the amount of calls that they receive in the year, how many reports, how many calls, how many 911 calls. And so those numbers are pretty, yeah, they're something.
I bet. I
Especially,
bet. And
especially Paul, when you compare us with other cities our size.
absolutely. And you mentioned, the layering of state patrol, and then you've got sheriff, and you've got police, and then you got fire. And then, of course, you mentioned National Guard, et cetera, those things. Do you cover a little bit of that in the academy to understand like realms of authority and boundaries?
We do, yeah, we do. Because again, if you're not really familiar, a lot of people don't know the difference between, sheriff's department, city police department. Most of them, most of them know highway patrol, because we always see them out on our interstates. But yes,
Yes.
we do share with them about the differences, not only kind of all the way around our jobs, our jurisdictions, and it even drifts into our judicial system. Not everything everything that a police officer does and a sheriff's deputy does is going to end up in the same court. We've got different courts. And so that's always usually pretty interesting to participants as well.
Very good. So I've talked to some of the graduates that have come through the academy, and they're always very, very excited. What are some of I mean, is this something that you go through multiple times, or is it typically like a one-time deal? And then is there a alumni or something that is formed at that point, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we decided to do our hold our academy in the fall. As you know, and anybody that lives in the area knows, spring and you jump into summer, that's a busy time around here,
Yes.
especially for our line of work. And so fall time tends to be slowed down a little bit. There's still some crazy there, it's just not as much. And so it kind of frees us up a little bit more time to have the program. So that's when we chose to have ours. And so, as I mentioned, this will be our 10th year of having the program this fall. And probably around year 3 or 4, I had a group of folks come to me and say, hey, the program's over, but we want to still stay plugged in. And so I was like, hey, I'm all on board. What do you have in mind? And so this group of people kind of shared their thoughts. And I took that to my chief and command staff and said, hey, here's what these folks, they've got to know us, and don't want to say bye. They want to stay involved and help whatever that looks like, however they can. And so together we all came up with the idea of an alumni of our Citizens Academy. So now anybody that participates in the program can jump in that alumni group. And so they meet once a month here at the police department, and I join them. And usually I try to bring kind of an update. I try to bring them, hey, here's what's kind of going on in the police department world. Kind of keep them on the front of it. Or if there's something that's coming down, kind of keep them plugged in the best I can as far as what's happening for the police department. Sometimes there's questions. Hey, we noticed on Facebook this. We noticed on Branson Buzz this. Can you tell me? And so you bet. I mean, anybody that comes and wants to be part of that, we want to share with them, because then I know that I'm giving them the truth. And, as long as it's not a open case that's, still in investigation and still, going through the court proceedings, I'll share with them, with our group, give them the information and let them know the truth of what's happening in our city.
Absolutely. Maybe talk a little bit about you. The department's recently moved into a new facility.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how that has changed your operation, maybe some opportunities that came with that new facility and that type of thing? Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's been huge, Paul. So, um, again, so that this was another project that I was able to share with the Citizens Police Academy alumni. They were one of the first groups to come take a look at our new police department, along with our police department staff and our families. And our alumni were given the opportunity, if they want to, nothing is a have to, but I opened up to them, hey, anybody that would like to be part of our grand opening and our ribbon cutting. And so some of our alumni uh, were happy to volunteer, like, yeah, I'll show people around. And it's almost like um, it was like they were like, this is our department, our alumni. That's how plugged in they are with us. And so the new police department is amazing. And obviously, you know, part of our Citizens Police Academy. This will be our first year that we're going to have it here in our new police department, which is awesome because I've been fortunate enough in the past 9 years to secure somewhere to have our police academy. Well, now we can have it right here in our own home, and there's no trying to nail down a location. We can have it right here, and of course, again, part of that one night I'll give them a tour, and if I can, um, I am going to try my hardest to take anybody if you've never seen where we came from, the department where we were at, and then if you can see that and then come here and see what we have now, you'll even be more amazed. I mean, it's something as it is just by itself. But I think I will try to be able to, because it won't take but about 4.5 minutes to walk through our old department, and then come in and let them see what we have now. And I can't. Um, I'm about as bad with numbers as I am with names, Paul. I can't remember the square footage wise of what we grew to, but it's crazy. I mean, we've got so much room. As you know, if you've got room, you're going to fill it with something. And it's
Yes.
nice to have the room for all of our stuff. In our old department, we didn't have room for everything we didn't have room for everything that was ours, and we were having to store stuff off site, wherever we could find a space. And so then that it's not at our disposal, it's not close. It's an inconvenience to get to it. But now we have enough room for all of our stuff, all of our equipment, everything we need to do our job, as well as an extra, I don't know, probably um, tens of thousands of square feet that we haven't done nothing with yet. We're using it for storage because we have it, and we've set up um, some training situations in there, which again, we'll be able to utilize for our Citizens Police Academy, something I didn't have before. We're going to do some pretty fun stuff, and it's indoors, so it doesn't matter what the weather is going to be like. We'll be covered.
Very good. So, what types of new things are there? Do you have a gun range or a jail area, retention area? Has there been some new areas added to the department just because you had space, or is it pretty much the same but just a better flow?
Both. So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we were able to put in a gym that's remarkable. One of the things that our chief, our command staff, our city leaders uh, we know and recognize that in our line of work, it's important to stay healthy physically and mentally. We work crazy hours, and we're exposed to things that we hope most people don't ever get exposed to, having to see. And being physically fit goes a long way with your mental health as well. And so so we've got a gym right here handy in-house. And so it's great. We've got a locker room that accommodates all of us. We've got more lockers. We've got room to grow. We've got, of course, men's locker room as well as ladies' locker room. We've got walk-in showers. We've never had that before. As you know, this time of year is a great example. It's not uncommon for our patrol guys to be going through the woods as with related to their job, whatever the call is. Well, we've got creepy crawly, we got stuff that, and so if we've got some officers that are finding themselves, in the woods and ticks, chiggers, and stuff early in their shift, early in their 10-hour shift. Back in the old police department, I mean, it was rough, Now, if one of our officers finds ourselves in that kind of situation, come right in here. They got the locker room, jump in the shower, change their uniform, and get back on the road without having to go home and do all that in their own home. So, huge locker room, walk-in showers. Our gym, it's got anything you can think of in there. Very grateful for that. We have a kitchen. We like to eat. So we have a kitchen with, two ovens, stove, a big refrigerator to accommodate every shift's food if anybody wants to bring stuff in. And then one of the things that we have, so in our old department, our patrol area, which would be where patrol could get out of their vehicles and work on paperwork, maybe return phone calls, was probably about the size of a big bedroom, square footage.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah, that was it. So we had a spot in there that had, I want to say 5, maybe 6 workstations. So just imagine a room with with a counter, desk type around 2 walls of the 4. And those had desktop computers where the officers could log on and work on their paperwork. There was 5, maybe 6, and that was all they had, as well as try to store some uniform stuff and equipment stuff in there as well, on shelves. Or now with our new department here, we have a patrol room that's an open bay style with cubicles. So now all of our officers have their own cubicle, an area for them. They can set up family photos. They can leave stuff there. It's their work area. And so there is no, back when we had the 5 or 6 at our old department, an officer might come in and say, well, those the computers are being used, so I can't. Now all the cubicles have their own computers. They can sit down and they're not rushed. They don't have officers saying, hey, are you almost done? Because I've got stuff to do as well. And so that's a huge, really awesome thing for our patrol folks. Now they've got more room we've got a room that is designated just for our shift briefing. So obviously, again, kind of like what you'd see on TV, beginning of a shift, that shift getting together with the shift supervisor. They're going over things that they need to know. Hey, here's what's happened since we've been off. Here's what we had, go on yesterday. Let's finish this up. Here's this change. Just kind of kind of catch up and share a little bit before they go out into the streets. We've got a room just for that. Um,
Nice.
Back in our own police department, we had a room for that. That was also our training room, lunch room, conference room, and all-purpose room. So we would have squads coming in that needed to have a shift briefing while there'd be people there eating lunch. And so now they can come in. There's a computer in there and a monitor on the screen on the wall. They can pull up and look at what the shift that's already on duty. They could see what's going on in their world, what they're handling, what kind of calls they're handling at that time. So they can already see what's going on out there on the streets, call wise, and what the units are already doing while they're having their shift briefing. And now they've got again their own designated area right there. We've got several other conference rooms where if our investigation side needs to handle something that maybe they need to have a meeting that's a little bit more needs to be not everybody needs to be there. Something needs to be a little bit more private. We've got that. We've got that conference room for them where it's kind of a little out of the way. One of the things we have now that's again we didn't have. We've got secured parking for our patrol cars,
Hmm.
so it's not covered parking. So the weather can still get us, but it's gated, and so for the general public, if somebody was up to no good and they wanted to come damage one of our patrol cars, they would have to jump a fence. And of course, we've got cameras all over the place. And so it's kind of nice to have that. We didn't have that in our old police department. And I can only remember once or twice in my 27 years where we did have somebody, I want to say it was a graffiti related type something to one of our patrol
Mm.
cars. Nothing huge, but still something that you don't want to have to deal with. Because anytime somebody messes with a car, that might create that car to go down in service when we might need it. So covered parking, no indoor range, definitely something that would be awesome. But as you can imagine, the insurance on that would be pretty crazy. But
It is. I was watching some YouTube video about indoor ranges, and I think just the lead extraction equipment, the HVAC equipment is like $1 million. It's
yeah,
crazy. You
it's a
know? Yeah,
yeah.
just really,
But
really crazy.
but we definitely have the room. I told you about all of the room that we have, room for future expansion. Um, I'm sure you know, but maybe some of our listeners don't know. We got into an old theater that was not being used, the White House Theater off Gretna Road here in Branson. And so what we did was we utilized all of the space, did some remodel work, here in this building, the old White House Theater, and one of the auditorium portion because of the slant in the floor.
Yes.
We have removed all the seating, but the stage area, we've been able to use that for some training area. And then where the seating area was in the auditorium, that's we've been using that for some storage. And so that's all future room to grow. Whatever we want to do with that, whether it be, our contractors looked at it early on, and it's feasible if we wanted to, for some reason we needed to put more offices. It's high enough, the auditorium in our theaters, the ceiling's up there a ways. So you could even put in, level, upstairs, more than one level of offices if we needed that type of an expansion. But it's always good to have room to grow.
Absolutely. Being a lake community, are there any special things as far as, flooding or aquatic things that go on in our area that you might not have in another city that doesn't have the water features that we have?
One of the things citywide, with between us and the fire department, that we've taken seriously. Unfortunately, it has been some tragedy to get us to where we are now. But swift water rescue is a huge thing for us. We've had some. We're in the Ozarks, and even this time of year, we've seen how it can come rain and rain a lot and hard and quick in a short amount of time, which creates that water level to rise. And again, our geographically, we've got those low areas that may be bone dry, but it comes to hard rain and rains hard for hours. All of a sudden, that low area is full with water, and so yeah, so that I'd say that's probably one of our biggest, over the years, water rescue, particularly swift water rescue, and that is, because of our terrain and our spring rains that can lead to flood, as well as the lakes, in the area. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And so, like you said, you share that a little bit with the fire department as far as how that goes. And
Yeah. And
is there any other?
and
What's
that's
that?
training and that's training that we would do, we might team up with the state, county, and then our own city, fire, law enforcement. It's definitely a group networking task training. Yeah.
Very good. Is there any other? I'm thinking of a couple different areas that you may talk about that I don't know you mentioned yet. Is there anything in the narcotics area, active shooter area, or anything like that you guys cover at all, or are those just different deal?
So one of our investigators, he will usually cover to some extent, some narcotics information. And really what that, I think is a really eye opener for our community, those that participate is, again, it's one of those that if you're not, you know, directly involved, you hear things,
Mm-hmm.
but you really don't know. And so our narcotic officers are able to share, here's what common trends, things change, and do we have drugs in the area? You bet. Show me a place that doesn't.
Yep.
Our world has changed, and now even in our small town locations, um, they're there. It might be minor, it might be a small extent, but and so one of the things that I'm not sure how long you've been in the area, Paul, but one of the things, ever since I've lived here, uh, working for the department, it's been the police department doesn't want our community knowing what's happening. They want to sweep things under the rug. No, it's never been like that since I've been here. And I can tell you right now, transparency is what we got. If somebody calls and if we're able to share with them um, information, we're going to. You can go to our city webpage and we have a crime map. So you can look at that and it'll tell you what, got a date range. You could look at, June, June 1st, June 11th, and it'll show you, or you can even broaden it even bigger. I mean, it's there, the information's there. So our narcotics team will share with folks, hey, here's what we see, here's what we do, and yeah,
That's cool.
definitely, yeah, definitely got those guys on board with us with our Citizens Academy. And what was the other? You mentioned narcotics, but there was another topic I think you.
Active shooter. Is there anything
Oh,
involved in that?
yeah. So active shooter, we might hit that a little bit as far as the conversation. It's gotten to be such um, a talked about topic. It's a thing, and we see it on our news every year where a community is affected by it. and we do share with them about what we do training wise. And again, that's one just like our uh, similar to our water rescue here in Branson for a number of years. One of our active shooter training that we do year round is we actually team up with all of the law enforcement agencies in the county, including the sheriff's department. And we bring out fire department, and we bring out Taney County ambulance because we know that if an unfortunate incident happens like that, all those agencies are going to be there. If
Yes.
something happens in Hollister, um, we're gone. We're not going that lake's not going to keep us. And so when you train together, you're going to know what each person's job is. And so it's just going to make us, God forbid we have anything like that ever happen in our community. But if it does, the first responding agencies in Taney County are going to be ready.
Very good. Well, in our wrap up here, Officer Donathan, would you talk a little bit about what the dates and times are going to be for the academy this fall, and so that they can be prepared, and then maybe give us a reference on how to get qualified. I don't know if you call it qualified, I guess registered
You
to
bet,
be a
yeah.
part of
Jump
it.
on board. Yeah, because this is we're getting there. We're getting geared up for it now. It's going to be here before we know it. So our first date, we're going to get going on Thursday, August 20th. And so I
Okay.
think I might have mentioned earlier in our visit that Thursday nights, that's the night we picked. It's hard to pick a night that accommodates everybody. And so Thursday nights we thought might be the best. And so Thursday nights what we've chosen. And so we're going to meet on Thursday nights from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Um, I promised to have it wrapped up by 9. I've got a few guys that like to talk, but if they're still talking by 9:01, I give them hey,
Cut, cut.
yeah. So there may be some where we even get done a little earlier. Um, and then there's some evenings folks want to hang out and chat, and so we might be there for those folks that want to chat with us. We hang out and chat maybe 10 o'clock or something. It's not like we open up the door and kick everybody out. And so August 20th, 6 to 9 p.m. And then we'll meet every Thursday night after that. And then we wrap up August or October 29th will be our last night. That allows us to get all wrapped up before we get into the holidays. And because a lot of times it gets busier
Yeah.
November and
Yeah.
December. And of course, we're going to be meeting here at our new police department. We're at 1 Justice Street. We were able to
Love
name,
that.
they let us
Yeah, I
pick
love
the
that.
name of our street. So 1 Justice Street off of Gretna, the old White House Theater, that's where we're at. And if any of the listeners, anybody wants more information, of course, they can give us a call out here at the Branson Police Department, 417-334-3300. And they're going to want to visit with me, Officer Donathan. And I can answer questions, and anybody interested in wanting to sign up, get them signed up.
Very good. Awesome. Awesome. Well, this has been very interesting, very exciting. I was so excited when you came to speak to our group, and the interest level is just very, very high. So hopefully we'll get that. How many can you take into it, by the way?
Yeah, no, great question. So I don't want no more than 30. I
Okay.
found that, more small people, a little more comfortable. People are more comfortable and they're more apt to interact. And, this is a very um, informal, laid back, I think I did mention free of charge program. I tell the folks, if you're coming from work, you're running a little bit late, don't let that hold you up. Come on in. If you haven't had a chance to grab dinner, bring your dinner in. You're not going to offend anybody if you're eating dinner while we're presenting. So again, um, we're just people that want to meet our community and let them know who we are and what we do.
Very good. All right, Officer Donathan, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate having you on the podcast so much and look forward to being a part of this with myself and my wife here coming up soon. Okay.
You
Have a
bet.
great one. Thank you.
You as well.